Hey guys, welcome to Dead Sailor Mountain Biking. My name is Levi and today I'm going to talk to you about my 2017 Diamondback Sinker Pro. So all too often, Diamondback is written off as just a cheap Walmart brand, and while it's true that they do sell cheaper bikes at stores like Sports Authority and Walmart, they do have a wide selection of very capable mountain bikes, and this is one of them. So I grew up racing BMX, and one of my very first real BMX bikes was a Diamondback. It was a Diamondback Assault EX. And it was one of my favorite bikes. Admittedly, the main reason why I purchased that bike was because of how cheap it was. It was a lot cheaper compared to the other serious BMX bikes there. But the salesman there assured me that it was a very good bike. So I took his word for it and I bought it. And it turns out he was proven correct. I used that bike for over 5 years and I hardly put a scratch on it. And I didn't just race it, I also took it to the dirt jumps and I took it riding street. I beat the crap out of that bike and it still held strong. Fast forward a decade, and I'm no longer racing BMX, but I've recently caught the mountain biking bug. The first mountain bike that I purchased was a $300 giant boulder. I didn't want to spend a whole lot of money on a sport that I didn't know anything about. So I went cheap. Too cheap. Where I had a background in bikes, I had been on a bike pretty much my whole life until this point, I probably should have gotten a little bit of a better bike. That bike wasn't made for the type of trails that I wanted to take it on, so I quickly progressed past that bike and needed a new one. However, I was still on a budget, and I didn't want to spend much over $1,000. So that relegated me pretty much to a hardtail. You can buy a full suspension for a little over $1,000, but the quality is just not going to be there. I wanted a bike that had good components, that I wouldn't have to upgrade every 3 months because of a broken part. This bike fills all those holes. Now on to the components. This bike comes stock with a 1x11 Shimano XT drivetrain. It also has a Fox Performance 34 fork with 130 millimeters of travel. The brakes are Shimano hydraulic disc brakes with a 180 millimeter front rotor and a 160 millimeter rear rotor. It also comes stock with a dropper seat post, which is the Integra 100 millimeter internal dropper. This bike also comes stock with race face cranks and race face bars. Where Diamondback saves the consumer money is with factory components made by Diamondback. The grips, the seat, the stem, the pedals, and the rock-solid Blanchard rims are all made by Diamondback. To me, it's not important for those secondary components to be name brand. In most cases, a lot of riders end up switching those out after a few months anyways. The Blanchard rims are tubeless ready, but the tires that it comes with are not. So far, this is the only upgrade that I've made to the bike. I have a 2.3 Maxxis Minion DHF up front and a 2.3 Maxxis Minion DHR in the rear. So far guys, I really like this bike. The aggressive geometry suits me with my background in BMX, and it's just a lot of fun to ride. And up to this point, I've put about 200 miles on this bike. And while most of those miles are for my local trails here in Pocatello, Idaho, a few months ago, I took a trip down to Moab, Utah, and I took this bike with me. Now, even though I didn't go on like the whole enchilada or any of those crazy trails, I did take it on some pretty rough stuff, and it handled it like a champ. I had no issues with this bike. So I do plan on making a few upgrades in the future. One of the main ones is the grips. These grips are okay when they're dry, but as soon as they get wet, they get very slippery. So I'm planning on upgrading those as soon as I can. I also would like to upgrade the saddle. It's a stock saddle. It's not the most comfortable thing in the world, and this is a hardtail. So I would really like to have a good, comfortable saddle for those horrible climbs. So in all honesty guys, that's probably all that I'll upgrade. I don't really see a need to upgrade anything else at this time unless something breaks. So right now it's shifting great, the brakes work great, the rims are solid, the fork is awesome. So a question that you probably still have for me is, should you buy this mountain bike? And honestly, I can't tell you that. However, I can recommend that you look at this mountain bike and the other hardtail mountain bikes made by Diamondback. They have the hook, line, and sinker, and they're all different levels of mountain bikes at a different budget. And depending on your budget and depending on your level, any one of those bikes could be perfect for you. But it is important to consider your riding ability when you purchase a bike, especially if you're on a budget. If you're not on a budget, this doesn't really apply to you. Buy whatever you want. But if you're on a budget, it's really important to take into consideration your skill level. If you're a beginning mountain biker and you've never been on a bike before, I think it's safe to say that you could probably spend $500 on a bike and you'd be just fine. However, if you've had some experience on a bike, Even though it's not a mountain bike, but you feel comfortable on a bike, you may want to go a little bit higher. So definitely take into consideration your skill level and match it up with your budget. Those two things will tell you exactly what kind of bike you should get. And you don't have to look at just Diamondback. There are a lot of different companies now that are making aggressive hardtails a lot like this one, and around the same budget. So that's it, guys. That's my review of my 2017 Diamondback Sinker Pro. If you're on a budget and you're looking for an aggressive, capable hardtail, I definitely suggest that you give this bike a look. Also, guys, if you enjoyed this video, please feel free to hit the like button. And if you want to see more content from Dead Sailor Mountain Biking, don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for riding with me today. We'll see you later.